And now to the flooding in Falmouth, about 30 miles south of Cincinnati. And many of you know this. The Licking River winds around three sides of that city. So when the water gets too high, it wants to shoot through the middle of town. And that is where we find my co-anchor, Craig McKee, anchoring our coverage. Craig.
Hey, good evening to you, Tanya. Right now, Falmouth and the surrounding area is having a dry spell. On the radar, it looks like, again, like Steve mentioned, there's going to be more rain on the way to this area. But for right now, people are loving this. You know, it's been a flurry of activity here, though, I must say. Along the shorelines of the Licking River, people who live along the shorelines have been packing and working nonstop. Even those who live hundreds of yards away from the river have been doing the same thing, just preparing for what is ahead. I'm here outside the Pendleton County Emergency Operations Center here behind me. Flurry of activity here as well. They are monitoring the situation inside the building and around town on patrols, while people who live here are trying to seek safety.
It's time to get out.
For Jennifer Shelton, it's the smartest decision.
Yeah, because I don't want to be wound up in the middle of the night going and getting up and stepping in a big, gigantic, nothing but water.
The apartment building she left was hit hard in the '97 flood. Was the water over our head at this point?
Oh yeah, it was well over our head. The light fixtures there where the doors are, those light bulbs would have been full.
And despite the crushing rain at times, the glimmer of hope from Pendleton County Director of Emergency Management, Mike Moore.
The level is 42 feet. It was about 44. So that brings less people into the impact area.
Good news for some, but for Verda Boner and her husband Ralph, who own the Back in Time Bed and Breakfast, it's time to go.
We're turning the gas off and the electric off.
Yeah.
So we'll have to leave now.
As for Jennifer Shelton, she grabbed what she could.
My Bibles, my medicines, my guns.
And came to the Pendleton County High School to meet with the Red Cross, who is now helping those displaced.
We are taking names and phone numbers, and we're going to be putting them into a motel or hotel.
Normally, the Red Cross would set up a shelter in the gym, but the current pandemic doesn't make that possible. Jennifer says she has her family, and that's truly all that matters.
As long as my family's safe, I'm okay.
Yeah, you know, the American Red Cross is currently helping more than 30 different people or families tied to the evacuations that are going on here right now. That work will continue, of course, in the coming days. In Falmouth, as I mentioned, there's no stranger to flooding. The '97 flood is so stuck in people's memories who lived here. And actually, WCPO reporter Courtney Francisco met with one family who survived the '97 flood. And Courtney, I have to expect that they're kind of on edge with the rising water right now.
Absolutely, Craig. Imagine tonight, this is your reality. Well, Falmouth doesn't have to. With the water rising, the family that lives in this home has packed up the last of their stuff and they are getting out of here. Right now, evacuations are underway. Emergency management teams are preparing to rescue residents. The one thing everyone has in common, hope to escape the worst that's still coming. It's happening. One of the most severe floods in Falmouth history.
Water like this, you cannot take a chance.
Angela Gillespie has been fighting the Licking River her entire life. Emergency management expects the river to crest well over flood stage tomorrow night. That could submerge much of the Gillespie home.
They did give plenty of warning.
Back in 1997, emergency management tells me people had little warning when the river rose to 52 feet. 5 died.
Just devastated the city. 80% went underwater.
Rob Yelton was a police officer working that day.
I think '97 taught us all a very rough lesson that what Mother Nature can do.
When emergency management told people on the west side of town to get out Tuesday, cars started buzzing. People moved appliances, clothes, and furniture. Gillespie watched the property drown tonight, thankful to get her family to a safe place.
You're here today and gone tomorrow. I mean, it's just easier to be safe than sorry.
And this water will move on through the coming days into Butler, up into Covington. So this is going to affect a lot of people over this week. Craig?
Yeah, it certainly will, Courtney. And of course, we will continue to cover the water's flow as it makes its way through its normal and natural path, and in some circumstances, unfortunately, the not so natural path into towns like Falmouth. And you know, right now, search and rescue crews are scouring the area here at night. Obviously, driving down roads in this area, there aren't street lights on many of the roads, so they are scouring all the nearby roads that get the backwater and even the main water from the Licking River as it swells overnight. They are barricading those roads to make sure people don't drive into areas where they shouldn't be. Again, here 24 hours, they are going to be monitoring everything, and they're going to be here, of course, until the threat is gone. And Tanya, you know, from covering the 97 flood as you did, you know, these will be challenging times ahead for many people here who are in the path of this flowing water.
Your heart just breaks for them, Craig. It does, because they've been through this before, for sure. Well, as we just mentioned, the town of Falmouth and the tri-state area in general are no stranger to that flooding. Look at this aerial view. This is the Queen City back in 1997. After that early March weekend 23 years ago, 80% of Falmouth was underwater. Most of the town's population of just 2,700 people had to be evacuated. Up to 10 inches of rain fell over the eastern and southern edges of the tri-state. 24 people in Ohio lost their lives, another 17 in the Commonwealth. The total damage was estimated at near $400 million.